going? Okay. So, so what is the population? Again, who are these? What is the big group that they're surveying, that they're giving a survey to, so to say? Right? Well, they're giving a survey to not all, but some of the representatives of Congress, right? In the state Congress, I should say. So it would be the representatives in the state Congress, the 106 of them. That would be the population of the survey. That would be the population of the survey. That's you're taking a subgroup of them, so that would be the population. And how big is the population? Well, there's 106 of them, so that would be the size. For the sample, we'll notice that we're sampling 28 of them, right? Right, the sample, that's the subcollection of the population. Because of that, the sample size would be 28. Okay, so again, the population is the 106 representatives in the state Congress, right? We're surveying a certain subcollection of them. That subcollection is the sample. The sample size is 28. Here we have a statistic. Remember, a statistic is something based on, it's based on the sample. It's a measurement or something or calculation, but it's based on the sample. Right? The parameter is when it's based on the entire population. For the sample statistic, we're looking at the ones who support the education bill. Well, here we have 14 of the 14 members of the sample support it. That's what it says. So the proportion would be 14 out of 28, which is about 50%. Which is, again, about 15%. 50%, not 15. 50. Okay. All right. So that's this example. Are there any questions on this? There's a few more I figured we should do. The next one I figured I'd let you guys try out. So here's another one. This one I said let them try, so I figured I'd wait like a minute or two. So you have the city of Raleigh, I'm saying that right, which has 9,500 registered voters. Again, this is all hypothetical. There might be more, there might be less. There are 2 candidates for the city council in an upcoming election, Brown and Feelers. I'm saying that right. And what happens is the day before the election, I don't know who's running it, but 350 of those voters, they telephoned and they did a poll. 100, they wanted to find out who's voting for who. So 112 said they're going to vote for Brown. 207 said they're voting for Feelers. And 31 are undecided. Okay, so what would the population be? So what would the population be? I can't see the chat, so if you want to, oh, here we go, someone said it. Remember, I can't see the chat, so what's the size of the population? So they would be the registered voters, right? The population would be the voters. That's the group of people in this case that we're dealing with, okay? So it would be voters. Next question is, what is the size of the population? Originally I was going to wait to let you guys try, but that's all right. Let's do it together. What is the size of the population? Well, since we know what the population is, that should be kind of easy. We know the population is the registered voters. It's given that there's 9,500 of them. So the population size would be 9,500. The sample would be the telephone poll, right? Excuse me, the people that you're telephoning, that they're telephoning. the day before election, I guess through a telephone poll, they're surveying 350. So 350 would be the size of the sample. The people that you're calling on the phone, that they're calling on the phone here, that would be the sample. Now, just like the other one, just like the other example, that is, what would the sample statistic be for the people who would vote for Brown? Well, there's 350 people in the sample, right? That's the sample size. 112 said they would vote for Brown, so it would be this. About 32%. I actually rounded that off, just letting you know. If you try to do it in your calculator, I think you get a longer decimal. I think it's repeating. So, I mean, yeah. It's a non-terminating decimal, so I rounded. Again, statistic, right? That has to do with a sample. The parameter would be for the whole population. Right. Okay, are there any questions about this one? Okay. So here's another one we can do. Another example. So the first one, right? As you can see. No, sorry, I meant to get the laser pointer back. There we go. Sorry. So here, right? We have so we want to know now what the sampling method is. We have a study here. The sample they chose, they're separating all cars by size. And they have 10 from each grouping. So basically, what are they implying here? They have different groups of cars, and the grouping is based on the size of the car. Notice they're selecting from each grouping. From each subgroup, they're selecting 10 cars. So what sampling method would this be? I can't see the chat, so just say it in your, what do you call it? Just say it. What would the sampling method be here? Anyone? Keep in mind that since we have groups here, right? If you went back to the slide from before, you can find it. No, here we go, right? Notice that there's really only two that deal with groups, stratified and cluster. When you're forming subgroups, it's going to be stratified or cluster sampling. Looking at the phrases here, which of the two do you think it would be? Some for all or all for some? Or some from all, sorry, or all from some? All for one and one for all. Well, they're taking some from each group, aren't they? Now, if we went back to the problem, they're taking 10 from each grouping, each size grouping. So I think this would be stratified, right? Stratified, remember. Let me see if I can write it out. Stratified. Actually, wait, what am I doing? I have it written on the next slide. It's on the next slide. We'll get to it in a minute. But remember, here they're taking some from every group, some from all. That's what stratified sampling is, right? In this case, the grouping is the car sizes. That's on the next slide. We'll get to that shortly. So here, right, we have a sample. And they're choosing the sample, excuse me. What they're doing is they're writing everyone's name on playing cards. They shuffle the deck. And then they're choosing the top 20. What would the sampling method here be, do you think? I mean, they're definitely not doing groups, right? So it's not going to be stratified or cluster. I mean, notice that everyone in that card is equally likely, right? It's shuffling the deck. So that would be simple random sample. That would be a simple random sample here. Because everyone is equally likely, right? Think about the other example we did last time with they vote everyone's name on paper, right? And then they put it in the bin, they shuffle it up so everyone is equally likely. That's the case here. When forming the sample, everyone is equally likely. All right, what about 3 down here? Let me stop the recording.